we welcome in to Tie-Dyed fellow Deadhead artist, songwriter, journalist, Toni Brown. Hi, Toni. Thanks for coming on the air with us here.
Well, thank you for having me.
We are thrilled to have you here on the air, and I know that all the Deadheads listening and Grateful Dead fans and Toni Brown band fans that are listening have just stopped what they're doing to hear this interview. I'm sure of that.
I'm sure of that. Isn't that the way it is? Well, I would stop to listen to them too.
we had heard you're a sweetie. I believe that. There's so many sides of your life and career I want to talk to you about, and your current project, the Toni Brown Band, touring and performing since 1995, right?
Right.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, just it coincided with the year that Jerry Garcia died, but not. I started recording my very first album with the David Nelson Band. In fact, Jerry Garcia died while we were in the process of doing that album, so we definitely took it in a different direction. I didn't know how long Relics had, of course, and the Grateful Dead had announced that they wouldn't be touring anymore. So it just made sense to start a band. I put a band together, and there were 7 of us out touring, and we basically worked it real well for a long time. I think we toured for 10 years solid.
Well, and a big thank you for coming on the air here. We'll do all we can to promote on the show and on Facebook and everywhere else we have any presence on. The following dates: June 11th this year, Triumph Brewing in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and June 12th, a concert at Snipes Farm Festival in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, just right over the bridge from Trenton, New Jersey. That's on June 12th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right, and I'm touring now with my husband, Ed Munson,
right,
who's also a songwriter and a guitarist, and we just have this we're able to go out and basically pick up musicians wherever we go and play and just have a really good time and meet new people all the time.
There is a website. It's Toni Brown Band, and Toni is spelled Toni, ToniBrownBand.com. But we're going to get into the website and everything in a little bit here. So how's it going for you these days in touring?
Oh, it's great. Right now we just pulled into Macon, Georgia, home of the Allman Brothers, and this has always been a place that I've liked to get to, and so we're finally here. We always pass through, but I'll get to go pay a visit today, and it's great. You know, we last night we saw Commander Cody. You just never know who you're going to find out on the road. Well,
you should feel at home touring across the country with the sound of your own band. It's basically all these bands. It's a 2010 version of the Dead culture, right?
Oh, definitely. There are cover bands, but there are so many bands that are, you know, not necessarily Dead cover bands, but were inspired in some way by the Grateful Dead. Ed and I do our own version of folk rock, which with a little bit of a country blues twist in it, and but everything, as far as I'm concerned, for myself, goes back to my first show in 1969, which is at the Pavilion in New York, and I got to see the Grateful Dead at a very iconic place, and it was wonderful to be so young and to find that at that point in my life. And then, of course, to go on and become the publisher of Relics, which was not something I expected. I don't think anyone expects it, but it's a good thing because going to see the Grateful Dead at 14 made me stop going to school and all of that fun stuff that most people do put in their lives. I didn't have time for that. I just had music. So it just turned out real well that I knew how to spell, and I was able to take on a magazine.
I mean, so many stadiums and venue parking lots have been turned into campgrounds and tent cities for the night. It's no way to live, but the Grateful Dead fans just loved it and lived for it.
Well, I think you're going to find more and more of it. You know, as you know, the Grateful Dead members are touring now as Further. It's interesting because what the Grateful Dead did for a long time was siphon all the money in the industry, at least in that realm of music, out of the live music scene, because they were the live music scene. So a lot of bands struggled for many, many decades while the Grateful Dead toured. And that was okay. I mean, it was what it is, what it was. But then when the Grateful Dead stopped touring, a lot of money went out into the community, and all these bands were able to step up a notch. Look at Fish and Blues per Traveler, Widespread Panic, Leftover Salmon, String Cheese Incident, and all the other bands like Juggling Suns. I can't think. There's so many, but there's so many bands that actually started to be able to survive as musicians and were able to go out and tour once the Grateful Dead got off the road. So now that the Grateful Dead are back on the road, it's going to be interesting this summer to see what happens with the other festivals that they're not part of. And so my hobby is to document all of this, so, I'll definitely have information after the summer on how that went.
Well, because the Dead fans that lived the Grateful Dead culture wanted and asked for very little except a ride to the next show and maybe a ticket to get their butt in a seat to see the show and get in, the poor economy probably doesn't affect them too much today.
I wouldn't say that. I think the way I saw it was that a lot of people forsook the fact that they actually had to make a living to go to these shows. And that's really what hurt the scene. It made venues close their doors to the Deadheads. It really hurt the scene by Deadheads not taking responsibility and actually buying tickets, getting their own transportation. I mean, everybody could get a ride together. I'm not saying everyone has to bring a car, but it really was sort of disrespectful to the band that they just thought they would be taken care of. When I was younger, it wasn't that way. If you didn't have a ticket, you didn't go. And then as they started to get more popular and you couldn't get a ticket, then people got desperate and they would start calling in bomb threats and things, and then the Fillmore would have to be emptied out so that they'd have to check to see if there was really a bomb threat, and then there was no way to check the tickets, so everybody got back in double fold. And that hurt the people who bought tickets for those shows. So, there's a selfishness to be coming to shows without tickets. It's a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful family, but it's a lot more than just going out to a show and being cool and groovy. There's a responsibility to the family to give back what you're taking. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. You really have to behave yourself.
Well, that's it, and it really hurt the community in a lot of places, and Red Rocks wouldn't let the Grateful Dead back. What an amazing venue that we lost with that. And again, it was people coming to shows without tickets. Of course, we're all aware of the nitrous vendors. That really hurt the scene and is continuing to hurt people, a lot of the bands that are out in the festivals that are happening, because it's not even the hippies who are selling it. It goes a lot beyond that. It's become very, our whole scene has become a beacon for people trying to make money off of it. There was the time when the Grateful Dead had their whole parking lot scene, and then there would be all these people selling T-shirts that were bootleg T-shirts. The Grateful Dead weren't getting any money, and it was actually and I hate to say it was the mafia. They threatened me personally at one point, and it was a pretty interesting time. So there was this whole transition. It goes back a long time, but there was a big transition of the Grateful Dead going to from being just a community to being preyed upon by people who really